Instructions for accessing subtitles in a language other than English are included on our board meetings webpage as well as in the description below. Instrucciones para acceder a los subtítulos en un idioma que no sea el inglés se incluyen en nuestra página web de reuniones de la Junta, así como en la descripción a continuación.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Ross Valley School District Board of Trustees regular meeting. Today is March 11th, 2026, and I am calling our meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We have 4 trustees present in person at the Ross Valley School District office at 100 Shaw Drive in San Anselmo tonight. Myself, Rachel Litwack, Chris Lindles-Cobb, Daniel Cassidy, and Anna Marsh. Trustee Shelley Hamilton cannot attend tonight. We also have cabinet members present. We have Superintendent Tyler Graff, CPO Chris Carson, Assistant Superintendent Julie Wolcott, and Director of Student Services Lori O'Connor. Our meeting's being live streamed via YouTube, and the link is on our website and on the agenda. There will be a 60-second delay between the meeting and the YouTube live stream. A recording of the meeting will be made available to the public on our district YouTube website within 72 hours. And with that, I will move us over to our meeting. The next item here is procedural items. We have the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to stand and join me, please do so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item here is to adopt the agenda and time allocations. Did we have any changes, modifications, questions here from any of my fellow trustees?
Nope, none for me.
Okay. So if we have nothing there, I am open to entertaining a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda and time allocations.
Great. Have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Aye.
Chris? Anna?
Aye.
Rachel, aye. All right, so we've adopted our agenda and our time allocations for tonight. Our next item here is C, communication. We have public comment regarding items that are not on our open session agenda. So if anybody has something to comment on that isn't presently on our agenda, this would be the moment. Looks like we have no public commenters. Okay, so with no one publicly commenting off our open session agenda items. Our next item is C2, correspondence and communication to the board. We have some things that were there that are attached that hopefully everyone's had a chance to read and go through. Thank you for everybody who's responded to us. Next item there is C3, announcements by labor unions, CSEA and RVTA. Do we have anybody from either? No? Okay. Seeing no one there for that one, I have D, presentation and or action items. The first one there, D1, is recommended approval of second interim budget report, which is Chris Carson.
I got so excited I came up a few minutes early. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss our second interim budget with you this evening. And so I'm just going to dive right in. So when looking at our budget, it's important to know kind of where we're at first and foremost. And when looking at it, the most important underlying part of our budget is our revenues. And we're in the bottom 4% of all revenues in the state for our local control funding formula. Lowest in the county, bottom 4% in the state. We have our enrollment that is up, which is driving our LCFF calculation. And also one other factor that improved this for second interim is looking at our attendance rate. We moved our attendance rate back up to what we had at budget adoption. We had dropped it at first interim due to higher absences, but with the flu season waning, not just in Marin County, but nationwide, our attendance rates were actually better and we're at 95.2%. And we do have a higher TK population. When looking at our revenues, the other thing that's really important to note is our parcel tax revenues. And the reason I'm bringing that up this evening is because what we're going to be approving tonight is our 3-year multi-year projections, which includes 25-26, 26-27, 27-28. It does not include 28-29 fiscal year. And what's important to note about that, and that will be done in June, that'll be the 3rd year of our multi-year projections. I will be removing $5 million of parcel tax revenues because our first reading of our budget in June will be one day after the election, and because of that, I have to remove it. I have to have the document ready. So at budget adoption, I'm actually going to show that our budget is no longer positive, it's qualified because that third year. Then we also have our negotiations. In terms of our positives to the budget right now, between first and second interim, our LCFF revenues went up $89,000. And that really has to do with the enrollment increase that I just talked about. And we had a small bump in our federal revenues as well.
When is that 89,000 realized?
It'll be realized in the current year. But it also impacts our 3-year calculations as well because of the 3-year averaging. If you're dropping your attendance, you get paid of the higher of your current year attendance, your prior year attendance, or the average of your prior 3 years. So that does help to improve that 3-year average as well.
Okay.
And then some of the negatives that are hitting our budget between first and second interim, we have employee salaries and benefits. We have a small amount in supplies. And actually, I don't know why I have the negative bracket around the employees' salaries and benefits and not the others. It should be all of them. Services, a little bit larger, and then equipment. So kind of the reasons for all those things. The single largest thing that happened in terms of employee salaries and benefits, we have some unusual substitute needs this year where we have some long-term substitutes in various positions in the district. And so you see those increases that are there. In terms of our supplies, that's just a minor change. Services is kind of your other big one. A lot of that has to do with your special education settlement agreements, also your services related to that. And then for equipment, that's an increase in, we felt an increase in our facility use dollars, and we're using some of those dollars to purchase equipment for our grounds. So that's what that is.
What type of equipment?
We're looking at a different type of tractor, and we're looking at a aerator. So it would be equipment that will directly benefit the community and the students as well.
So an example of that tractors, we have a relatively large tractor, so if you can't put it on the field when it's too wet, otherwise it'll, ruin the field while you're mowing. So this other tractor we're looking at is a much smaller one. It's lighter and then has like softer, wider tires, so you can get on the field more frequently to do the mowing and to work on it. So just will help our team do more maintenance on our fields.
Even though it might be a little bit smaller in terms of width, so the cuts are smaller, the hope is that we can still do it in roughly the same amount of time because it's a little bit faster and the turning radiuses are generally better in the newer tractors as well.
Does that 467 on services include legal fees?
So part of the settlements is legal fees, so the answer is yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And going directly to special education, one of the things I really like to be careful of, and I want to make sure that people at home understand this as well. Special education is one of those areas that the cost of the program is higher than the money we get. And so there's this word that we throw around, contribution or encroachment. And what can happen is you get this us versus them. Special education students are all of ours. They are our kids. And so I want to preface this discussion with that they're still our kids. But in terms of costs that have impacted our budget over the last 4 years in particular, I've put kind of your 4 largest areas within the special education arena. So you have your settlement agreements, you have your non-public school, your non-public agency, and your special education transportation. And so when looking at it, your special education transportation costs during that period are relatively flat. There's not a whole lot of change, but the increases are really in the other areas. So things like your settlement agreements, your non-public school and non-public agency. And the difference between non-public school and non-public agency, non-public school is the cost of having a child in another school that is that's not a public setting. So, for example, like Oak Hill or Sunny Hills, back behind us. So if a child is placed through the IEP process at one of those schools, it would go into that bucket. Non-public agency are the other types of services that might be required. So it could be if we have additional speech services that are needed, OT services, could be also the cost of the additional staff that if we're not able to fill, say, a teaching position, we have to hire an outside agency, it would be in that category as well.
So 2 points I want to drive home on this one. With the non-public school, having a student placed at a school like Oak Hill is not necessarily a thing that like our program's not good, we made mistakes. It's actually that we don't have the program to serve that student's needs, but Oak Hill does. So we actually agree with the parents agree with us, and we place the student with the parents at a non-public school, and that tends to cost, anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. So I think the underlying assumption of a lot of folks that don't know a lot of the details is that if a kid's going to non-public school, it means the district messed up. But in actuality, it's actually a placement for the student based on their needs. So what I think this articulates is, and I think this is true across the county and across the state, is that there's an increasing need for higher needs students to be placed at specialized schools. So not necessarily disagreement between parents. And then the non-public agency piece, which was Chris was just highlighting, because of our low salaries, it's harder for us to attract a special education teacher. When we can't attract a special education teacher, we're forced to go to the agency to fill the position because we're required to have the position filled, and it comes at 20% premium. So the increase in the green is largely because we can't staff because of our salaries. A special ed teacher is in high demand, and if they basically have supply and demand on their side, so they're going to pick the highest paying district. And that leaves us kind of forced in this position to use agencies. However, most school districts are being forced into this more frequently. Agency costs are going up across the county and across the state for all districts. So these two things I just want to highlight. If the working assumption is this is because parents and the district are at odds or the district isn't doing the right thing, those two buckets don't really tell that story.
And one additional thing to dovetail onto what Tyler just mentioned, special education is one of those costs that's been driven up, not just in our county, but across the state. And so it's one of those areas to highlight and is being highlighted by school services at every budget presentation that I go to because of things like this that you see in this slide.
And then, not that it's comparable, or like, how does this compare to other local districts? Are they all around the same? And is there any thought that the state might give more money to districts that have higher special education costs?
This is like a wildly underfunded mandate. We get pennies on the dollar from the federal government to serve our special education students, which is what Chris was talking about with the not encroachment, but the contribution that we have to make from the general fund to special ed. Actually, Chris, Lori, and I met earlier this week to do a deep dive just on special education costs and find out where things are coming down and where things are going up. I'm happy to report that the lawyer fees on our side of the table have gone down precipitously since last year. I think we'll spend less than 50% of what we spent last year, which is pretty remarkable. A lot of that is due to Lori's work and the relationships she's building with families, and the switch to a different lawyer this year, and some efficiencies that Lori and the lawyer are employing, which is really great. In that conversation, the three of us were thinking about, should we compare us to Miller Creek, I felt like we had enough information from the deep dive to know where our weak points are and where our strengths are, to where we didn't need to necessarily go do a comparison to other districts. It wouldn't give us enough information to change the actions that we would have. But they're all having the same, similar.
And then who's petitioning at the state from like an unduplicated population? Like I wonder how the community can do more, we can do more, like.
When it comes to special education, it is one of those areas that there are lots of lobby groups that have been going to the state for really decades. And the state at one time was giving more dollars in special education. And you also had the federal government that said that they were also going to contribute, and they did, but they both pulled back. And so it's one of those areas that everybody knows that is a high cost, but they're also not willing or able to fully fund it.
I mean, and with the Department of Education caught up at the knees, do we expect that, because this has gone up quite a bit
Yes.
within a short amount of time, do we expect that to go higher?
One of the things that I want to point out is kind of to dovetail on what Tyler was mentioning is the wonderful job that Lori in particular is doing. She's really, really taking a hard look at the relationships with those people, with the parents of these students that fit some of these categories, trying to work with them and when appropriate to bring the child back to the district. And so, I really want to give her credit for that. You don't see it playing out in the numbers necessarily, but she also hasn't even been here a year.
Right.
So oftentimes what you see is these things are based upon years of
Yeah, they're
like a track record.
indicators, I know.
Exactly. So it kind of it points you in a direction and then you're still recovering. And you see a lot of that. A lot of this has to do with COVID directly. And if I went back to pre-COVID, you would see really the progression.
And I think, you see a difference of over $600,000 from 22-23 to 23-24. Another, another $500,000 the next year, and then $300,000 to this year. Our hope is to continue to slow that growth and hopefully turn it around to where we're either flattening out or going down. And we're seeing that in pockets within the budget, and then other pockets, we're seeing things go up. For instance, you could have a student that moves into our district that costs $250,000 to serve. And as we all know, they generate $11,000, but it costs us $250,000 to serve the student. And there's nothing we can do for that. And Chris can't really plan for, a random student to join us next year that has a price tag that high. And I just want to underscore that kid deserves those services through the IEP. That kid needs every bit of what they get, and it just the state and the feds don't give us the money to do it, so it does impact our budget.
And so as we progress, this is what our general fund looks like. The first thing I want to point out is the red down at the bottom. We were state aid in 23-24. Last year we were community funded. In the current year, again, we're state aid funded, and we're bouncing back and forth. And I wanted to remind the board and anybody who might be listening to this that what causes us to go into community funded is our property taxes are higher than our LCFF revenues, and we get the additional property taxes in. And we flip back out because the second year we would have to pay in lieu property taxes to the charter school, as well as losing our supplemental taxes as part of the property taxes. That's really the reason for the flip. Eventually we expect us to stay in community funded status, but that will be years out. As you look at our budget, you do see our revenues are, LCFF revenues are down in 25-26 from 24-25. That's directly due to that flip. And then you see a large jump back in for 26-27. And again, that's community funded. It's that flipping in and out, in and out. And as you look at it, you have a pretty significant deficit in the current year, and it does start to trail down. one of the things that we've been doing is looking at our aging out of those populations that might be being served in the non-public school settings or through settlement agreements. And we do have a significant number of students that are beginning to age out. And so I would be pulling those expenses out of the budget. What that does do is provide a little bit of risk. If we get additional kids in, I would have to increase those dollars as well, but you see that within our budget for now. What does that actually mean in terms of our ending fund balances? These are a little bit worse off than what they were at first interim, but they're not significantly different from first interim. But they are different from our adopted budget, and it has to do with all of those expenses that we were talking about earlier, as well as what was increased at first interim. So at this particular juncture, we expect to have a 4% reserve in 27-28. So our budget is positive at this point because we can afford our expenses in the current year and the subsequent 2 years. Again, at June, when I have to show 28-29 and pull $5 million out, that will actually take me negative in that fund balance. And because of that, I will be qualified in June, not negative. And we would, if the parcel tax is not passed in June, then we would likely, in the second year of our multi-year projections, if nothing has changed and we still don't have a parcel tax, we would be negative in that second year for, in essence, June of 27.
So positive certification doesn't mean our budget is in a good place. It just means we have enough to cover the books and we're above the 3% in the third year out.
Correct.
June of this year, June 2026, sans parcel tax, it's a qualified budget. Sans parcel tax, June 2027, it's a negative budget. And that's where the state takeover starts to happen. So this is, what we've been talking about for most of the fall.
It's really important to clarify, because when you see a positive, you think, oh, we have the money, everything's okay, why are we singing for dollars, right? But I think I understand that there's a fat tail of deficit, so.
Yeah, it really has to do with June when I have to add one additional year and pull $5 million out of that.
Okay.
And so next steps, we have AB 1200 oversight from the County Office of Education. And at our budget adoption, they wanted to make sure and point out that we are deficit spending, which is what necessitated us coming to the Budget Advisory Committee, coming up with a plan, recommendations for a plan on cuts, and then bringing that back to the board recently and implementing those reductions if necessary. You see all of that right there. In addition, we have the parcel tax renewal and the increase in June, and really just to continue to focus on our attendance. That's what we can do right now to help those dollars. You saw the $89,000 increase in our LCFF revenues. If kids come to school, that doesn't improve the district's position and helps us. And then just to really to keep our state advocacy out there. And in terms of our closing comments, again, revenues are the primary underlying issue of the district. That 4% in the bottom 4% in the state is really, really difficult. We do have almost $2,700 per student below the statewide average. Ross Valley is paid at that for our LCFF. And that's really puts us at a disadvantage. And then the other thing, the board did take actual action in February and approved the resolution to basically say that we are in support of the LAO's position of needing 7.24% more funding. And so we're looking at advocacy in that realm. And we talked about that at a recent board meeting as well. And with that, I know there might be additional questions.
Have we submitted like our support for the Raise the Base movement that Dr. Roth was saying? Okay, because I
Yeah.
hadn't seen it on the website yet.
I double checked it,
Okay.
and I didn't see it on the website yet either.
Okay.
But I did submit that, and I sent him an email with your signed resolution.
Okay.
So I can follow back up with him. I did see Manor PTA and Hidden Valley PTA signed on,
Yeah, I
so
saw
that's
that.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions up here for Chris? Just questions right now?
I asked mine along the way.
Daniel, Anna, any questions?
Thank you, Chris.
All right, so thank you, Chris. With that, do you have any public comment for this item?
Thank you. PJ Pfeffer, Manor Parent. Almost got done listening to you guys on 2x speed to catch up to the beginning. Thank you for the presentation. I guess a couple of quick notes and questions I have that hopefully you can follow up on are Tyler, you mentioned the lawyer fees on our side have dropped precipitously. That's great. To what extent are we, as part of our settlements, agreeing to pay the other side's fees, and are we seeing any change in those, especially if we have repeat players on the other side of the table? And to the extent that, and I think it's great, we're developing stronger relationships with families in the SPED community, which I'm also part of the community, and my kid. For the total amount of cases that we end up requiring NPS schools and non-public agencies, what percentage of them do we think is sort of unavoidable? We'll have to go to a dispute that requires a settlement. Like, is there sort of a floor on those expenses? And has the district budgeted out the cost of bringing in some, you mentioned Oak Hill, and obviously kids need those services, but bringing those services in-house, like if you want to advocate to the state, what's the cost to have the amount of kids that we're sending outside the district? We want to keep them in our district schools. We think our district schools are the best. What's the cost to materially change the amount of kids who have to leave the school district altogether? Other questions was that there's no comparison with Miller Creek because of our deep dive. I did not see it in here, but I could have missed it. Have we, in our multi-year projections, are we contemplating increased expenses, or what the expense of implementing a lot of the recommendations in that report are? Because obviously that is going to affect people's opinions on the parcel tax, but also just planning for cuts, because some of those things are likely a higher priority than paying for them are likely a higher priority than items that were considered by the Budget Advisory Committee and were left off or put in tier 3. But otherwise, no. There's not much that the district can do in such a horrible circumstance. I think advocating, the note you had on advocating for the state is great. I was talking with an assembly person about the idea of just direct reimbursement for pass-through costs to non-public schools and things like that, which it's not like the state is unaccustomed to just recompensating people for expenses. They do it for plenty of other industries, and I think that's also another thing that our district can advocate for. Thank you.
Alright, thank you. Do you have any other public comment tonight on this topic? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for our discussion here. Comments on the budget presentation?
It was really good to see the breakdown within the special services and what those are actually costing, because I've questioned where we just see the lawsuits, for example, and the other costs associated with that. And I think it's not like there is some revamping that we have to do to work around that. Those numbers just are what they are, right? It's my understanding. Depending on the population of the kids that we have and the circumstances of which we can or cannot fulfill the requirement by law that we have to educate them in the way they have to be. So I just want to say thank you for providing those numbers. I would love to see that number again next year. I think that time frame of looking at 22 to present really is very helpful. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing, to build those relationships and bring our kids back as well. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, Chris, is also, you're expecting a $900,000 decrease in services next school year. So we may be at the peak of that if that's with the special education costs, which is huge.
Laura, you may be bringing this up later in your update, but I would love to hear some of the examples of some kind of more in depth of what you've been, we've generally here, and I would like to kind of maybe dig a little deeper to get some more of the detail, because it's really quite amazing, these cuts. It's the savings. It really is.
One of the ways that Chris and Lori are talking about this is really ensuring that there's oversight for least restrictive environment, or LRE is what it's called in education. And least restrictive environment means that, let's say there's a student that starts in our program. Through collaboration with the parents, we think that Oak Hill is a better placement for them. They can get the support they need. The student goes to Oak Hill for a year, maybe 2 years, develops new skills, is progressing and meeting their IEP goals, and then maybe it's time for them to come back to a less restrictive environment in the general education setting, and we can serve that student now that they've built the skills. And I think that oversight is hard to do. Lori's stretched extremely thin, so to go to 5 or 6 or 7 different schools that aren't even under our purview, make sure those students are making progress and bringing the kids that are making progress back to the least restrictive environment, I think is super important. And it also goes for kids that we're serving now. You might have had a 1-to-1 aid in first grade or kindergarten because you needed it and you built skills and independence. And maybe by 2nd or 3rd grade, you don't need that 1-to-1 aid anymore. And we can fade half of it or 3/4 of it or all of it all together. And then the student can be more independent, because that's always the goal of special ed. Give you the skills you need and then take the supports and scaffolding back off. So you're kind of in that zone of proximal development. And I think Lori's oversight and attention to detail is really getting at that across the board. And it's highlighted in our SPED report that we shared earlier.
Is it in the best interest of those non-public schools, though, to have our students return back to us? Wouldn't they rather keep the revenue? So is there a conflict?
I haven't really been finding that as much.
Okay,
most of the time they also want a least restrictive environment, and they also want to show that their program's working.
Great.
Like, wow,
Great.
we took this student, provided all these supports, and now
Great.
we head back. So that's a
success story for them
better than holding on
to
the
tell.
students.
Great. Okay.
And
Good.
I think that oversight too is important because it does hold them accountable. If I'm there sort of pushing, going, whoa, no, they've achieved all their goals, it's time for them to come back. Oh yeah, okay, so I think just keeping tabs on that. And I think your project sounds amazing. I will definitely put that together as far as all those things. We're also really backing off on sending kids out of district as soon. We've been putting in a lot of different measures, trying to exhaust every possible resource on campus to be able to do that. So we have had some kids that we were thinking were on the path to a non-public school, but then after we took a lot of effort, a lot of measures to get skills up, teacher skills up and universal supports, we're at the point where we're like, well, we don't need to send this student because we solved it and we supported the student. And so it's beautiful, just a beautiful tribute to everybody. I mean, principals are working hard, case managers, school psychs, I mean, it's a team effort and everybody is contributing to this, and it's allowing some of our kids to stay in district.
And just curious about the type of LDs that are present. They change over time. Sometimes it's a lot of X, sometimes it's a lot of Y. Say it's dyslexia has, we've discovered a lot about it. A lot of kids are being diagnosed more with dyslexia now, right? And I'm just wondering, in terms of getting in front of these diagnoses and front running them, like we have the early detection, how is that working for us? Is that showing promise, giving us some, being able to sit in the front seat instead of pulled behind the tractor, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the screener is great, and we can catch those disabilities ahead of time before we have to do an assessment plan when, or qualify a child for special education. And then our intervention team's outstanding. I mean, they find every piece that the child needs and they give it to them, which alleviates a lot of those assessment plans that, where kids have to test to see if they're, special education eligible. We also are, our intervention team and our special ed team, we're starting to collaborate a lot more so that we can sort of bridge that gap between special education and general education, so that we can start planning on how we can support kids better. And then also just, just all of that collaboration and just, we're just keeping those conversations up. Care team meetings, yeah, a lot of different things happening. So, and then also we do have, there's definitely an uptick in eligibility for autism, and so that's a lot more prevalent now too. So we are looking at getting teachers a lot more training around how to, just tools for their toolbox around working with children with autism, which is good for the children with autism, and it's great teaching practice for all. So everybody will benefit that way too.
I think it's a real positive that we have a reading screener and also the iReady assessment, because we're getting this assessment data really early, and then there's a plan that's put in place. And so it's really important with that reading screener to recognize it's the screener, but then it's what happens after the screener. And that intervention team meets monthly and really digs into how they're supporting students and different things that they're trying, different instructional materials, different ways of grouping kids, and I think that's making a big difference.
And if there's
alignment,
No, go ahead.
No, just the alignment across the district is, I think, the strongest that it's ever been, and with this shared understanding really of our MTSS, right, our multi-tiered system of supports of this is how we do this. And then there are these weekly care team meetings where you've got a team at every site engaged in it. So we're really seeing our kids and learning about them early, and then we're so much more efficient with providing the supports in a timely way.
Chris, I want to say thank you, because I know that the budget's always a big lift, and I know you've got like 2 accounting software programs you're having to deal with at the same time, so I know it's a lot of work, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the presentation. I appreciate the care that's going into taking care of our students, because I think the better we take care of them, the lower the cost you're going to be over the long run. So I see that connection very clearly, so I appreciate a lot. All right, do we have any other comment on this one? This is just presentation, so moving on to our next item, which is it a vote?
To approve the
Oh, right,
interim.
sorry. I'm not used to this new format. Okay, yes, sorry, we needed a vote. Would anybody like to make a motion on this item? Thank you, Teresa.
I'll make a motion to approve the second interim budget.
Great, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Anna.
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Rachel? Aye. Alright, thank you, Chris. Okay, now moving on. So get this right. The next item is 2 RVSD home to school transportation reimbursement plan for 2025-26.
And this one is also me. This is just an update to our transportation plan. No vote needs to be taken on this evening. It's one of the requirements in order to get additional funding for transportation. We have to discuss how much money we have spent on transportation as well as the dollars we've received. You see that within the figures, and also what the transportation looks like for our students. And we do not offer general transportation. Transportation is provided to our students with disabilities, and so it would be through an IEP process that we provide that transportation, and that's what our funds are used for.
What does this look like? Is it like a smaller yellow bus that comes to each campus and takes each kid home?
It could look very different for each different kid. So it could be a small yellow bus through Marin Pupil Transportation. It could be a large bus, depending upon the district you're in. But it could also be something where we have an individual company that drives the child,
So,
depending upon the need of the
Like Go Happy Cab.
Yeah.
and who, do we contract the Go Happy Cab?
Yeah.
So,
For something like that, we do. But for the other students, they go directly through Marin Pupil Transportation, and we're part of a JPA for them.
and just curious about these one-off transportation, one-to-one, like, I'm gonna stick with call it a happy cab, right? What screening do we do on our side for those kids that are getting in a car with a corporate independent driver?
That is part of the contract.
It's part of the
with them.
contract? Okay.
Go Happy Cab is locally owned. A woman started the company who had transportation issues with her child with special needs, couldn't get to school.
Okay,
and
so it's specifically for that.
yes,
Okay.
and they have all the proper restraints, all the proper seating for the child. They actually work to train the aide to put the child in the car. So I mean, it's a whole system.
Thank you.
I mean,
That
it
is, I am not familiar
to
with
a
this,
T.
so that's
Yes.
very helpful.
Yes,
Thank
they
you.
have video recordings in
Great.
the car. They have
Great.
full training. I mean, it's very impressive.
Thank you, that's all I was just
It's-
concerned about the liability side and how, okay, so
It sounds like
that's
a
great.
general cap, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
But it could be
That's
individualized.
good to hear.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
the
you.
details.
And is this the same
I didn't know.
$500,000 that we just talked about in the special education transportation, or is this
It is part of that same pot of money.
part of, okay, and so
Yeah, it is actually those dollars.
those dollars, so we'll be, 60% reimbursed?
Correct.
Okay.
And we spent 505 in 2024-25,
Yes.
and the reimbursement amount for this year will be 303.
Correct.
Where does the 40% extra come from? Does
Encroachment.
it go into those special?
No, so the dollars would show the total, 500,000 would be under the expenses in the graph that we showed.
That's what I'm
The
saying,
difference would be, it would be made up in the form of encroachment or contribution from the general fund.
yeah. Okay,
So whatever we don't get from the state gets filled back in
from the general
from
fund,
the general.
okay.
General question, just about how long has it been that we have not offered, or have we ever, just to the general student population?
To my
School
knowledge, we never have,
We never have.
but I would have to look at that. I've
Just-
done a lot of research
Isn't
on
it
it.
something like only 10% of schools in California have transportation
That's what I was
provided?
wondering.
Something like a tiny
Fewer.
number,
Fewer.
Yeah,
fewer than 10%?
it's interesting. I get that question all the time. And I'm like, I need to figure that out.
It's exceptionally expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge burden for rural schools. It's like a massive part of their budget. And for middle school and high school, it's not required at all. So it's really mostly elementary schools across the state that offer it, and then rural schools, and then some middle schools have it. But because it's not compulsory for middle school, you can kick a kid off the bus pretty easily if their behavior's not good.
And for those rural districts, the additional cost for transportation is given back to them as an add-on in their LCFF. Because there's special language for them because of the ruralness of the district.
Good. Any more questions for Chris? All right. Do we have any public comment on this topic? No? Okay. Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board for discussion. If there is any.
Is there any chance that this will go away? Just based on
There
the
is,
dismantling?
it could go away, yes, the additional dollars. A small percentage of the total dollars which you see in there, we do get through the LCFF. When they implemented the LCFF, those dollars previously had been a program, a categorical program. They incorporated it into the LCFF. It's within our calculator, but in the 13 years that they've implemented the LCFF, they have never given COLA on those transportation dollars.
Right.
So they've held that flat, which is part of the reason that they're doing this, is to recognize that costs during that 13-year period have gone up. So I don't know if there would be an appetite at the state level to pull these dollars, but they certainly could.
Yeah, I just wondered if there was some statutory requirement under some state law that they are compelled to do it. So this is
Well, there is at this time, but it could easily, under Assembly Bill 181 and AB 185, they could pull.
they could pull it. Yeah, that's not statute. That's
Well, no,
that's a
correct.
yes, that's a day's worth of work.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And then why is it the estimated 60% reimbursement? Is that
That was the number that the state decided
just
on.
what they, and year over year, that's about what they,
That was the number that they
yeah, okay.
fell on. Because I will tell you that the amount that they were reimbursing us previously was not anywhere near the 60%. And so they were trying to get to some level of properly funding it. Prior to the LCFF, when it was its own categorical program, you had transportation and you had special ed transportation. They were two separate programs. You would track them separately, and they were both encroaching programs under the general fund.
Any other discussion up here? So like we had to approve this like in 2023, like the first initial plan, and then we just have to like provide an update to the board every year?
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure I got it all. All right, so do we have any other comment on this one? If not, I'll move to the next agenda item. Okay, our next item is recommended approval of the 2026-27 and 2027-28 school calendars.
That would be me. So last year we brought you the 2026-27 school calendar, but with one really big change happened after that, which is that we have gone from 188 workdays for certificated staff to 187. So this school calendar just takes that final teacher workday off. Our teacher leadership group, Delight, met and kind of talked about which teacher workday they'd want to eliminate, and the decision was the one at the end of the year, which is also good because we end school on a Thursday, and if there is a school closure day, which there seems to be each year, it will be in the same week, which is better.
Right.
For the teachers to be able to end their school year, at the end of a week. So that's the 26-27, and then 27-28 calendar. You can see that it is amended. I met with again, the Delight Teacher Leadership Group yesterday, and what they noticed was that they had their March Teacher Workday 1 week after the February break. And for particularly K2 teachers, that's not enough time to do all of the assessments that they need to do. So they asked to push that forward 1 week. So I made those revisions and re-uploaded the calendar, but happy to say that the calendars are done. I think they're in good shape. They're in alignment with other county calendars and ready to be approved.
Any questions here?
I had a quick question. On November 27th, there's a 5 that's red.
Which year?
27. Is that red to signal something?
Yes, the red means that's the end of a trimester.
End of the okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just. Oh, because the other red is in pink, so I can't really. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to put quotes around it, but then it doesn't fit in that little tiny square.
Yeah, I hear you.
It is a little tricky, but it does say to the right of the month that it is the end. You know, it indicates what that day is.
Okay.
And are the teacher work days in professional development, is this kind of on par with other districts, other, like kind of every has a similar amount and spread throughout? Because I know it can be challenging for working adults when, you know, just like the one we just had, like, oh, no school on Friday. I thought I had it in my calendar up to date, but it wasn't. So what's the philosophy around those? Like, if we put them before breaks or after breaks, it doesn't serve the need of the teachers, but it might make it easier for families.
And we did try, like, we have a professional development day. Well, like, I know we just had the decision in 27-28 to put it on the Monday after Halloween, which happens to be November 1st, which couldn't be really more perfect. But the March teacher workday is a little bit different. That's the day that teachers are doing their report cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really needs to come at that end of trimester time, and that's why the placement is there. We used to have it on a Monday. We moved it to a Friday because there's so many Mondays off, and that kind of impacts like students' specials programs and things. If they have art every Monday and they lose too many Mondays, they don't have as many art classes, that kind of thing. So we tried, you know, we definitely have in mind, you know, and recognize that a non-student day is a challenge for all working parents, for sure. And we also recognize that it's important that our teachers have time for professional development and to do some of that, you know, not in front of students' preparation. It's important.
I believe 3 of the 7 days are before school starts as well. 3 or 4 of the 7 days. So most of them are before school starts. And to answer the question about how it compares to other districts, our teacher workday was a little bit on the longer side as compared to other districts, which is part of why in negotiations this year, because we couldn't give any money, a 0% raise this year, one way we were able to kind of improve working conditions was bring our teacher work day more in line with other districts in the area.
Any more questions?
Is it, for Veterans Day, is it typical that it is always on the 11th and it's not observed a different day?
It's always observed
Right.
on November 11th, whatever day that is.
It's just such a, it's so hard because not everybody gives you that day off if you don't work for a public
And so we
institution.
have had that conversation,
Yes.
about, okay,
Every year, right?
if we have a mid-year, you know,
Yeah.
holiday like that, a midweek one, and we can like put a professional development day next to it, because some families will,
Sure.
right, they know the Tuesday's off, so we'll take our kids out on
Yes.
Monday, so that's a good day to put something.
Oh man.
Those
And
are
I
also
just
conversations
Wednesday
that we
this next year.
I just want to thank Julia. These
Yes.
questions that you're having, multiply by about 100
Right.
and have, you know, each union give feedback and every teacher give feedback and the principals give feedback. Creating this and getting this to this point is a Herculean effort, and it's I know it's one of Julia's favorite things to do in the school year. So I just appreciate that she's done this, and the fact that we're approving 2 years out. Not every district approves multiple calendars, so I think it's good for our parents to know what 27-28 holds, and
Yeah,
It is very
pending
complex.
approval, I'll send it out through Parent Square to all staff and families probably tomorrow. I'm posting on the website.
Do we need more questions?
And October 11th is Yom Kippur, right? Okay.
And the RG has that day.
Great.
If there's no other questions, do we have any public comment on this item? Okay. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for any discussion. Any comments? I do very much appreciate having the calendars 2 years out. Like as a
Yes.
parent, I'm like one of those ones programming everything in like as soon as I get those. So I really appreciate knowing these ahead of time.
My job asked me for days I need off
Oof.
in 27 already. So they can sign me out. So I always look for the spring break and the winter break.
Yeah.
So I love it. I'm like,
I mean, so many, with different religions, like this is a task, thank you. We really, yeah. I know that I've heard from many parents that it is more thoughtful than every year. Like there's something that somebody notices that's different, like that means something different to different people, which so it was very clear and seen by the parent community. So thank you.
Any other discussion up here? Otherwise, I'll open it up for somebody to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026-27 and 2027-28 amended school calendars.
Great. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Chris.
Aye.
Daniel.
Aye.
Hannah.
Aye.
And Rachel, aye. Thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you.
Our next item is public disclosure or sunshining and district acceptance of the initial contract proposal for the 2025-26 school year from the California School Employees Association, Golden Hines, Chapter 719, CSEA, to the Ross Valley School District.
Go ahead, Chris.
I will go ahead and speak to it real fast. And so this is the opening part of the opening requirement in terms of negotiations with the CSEA bargaining unit. And so this is them providing it to us and us providing it to the general public. And so this allows us to then go ahead and negotiate with the bargaining unit and come up to a resolution on the items that are brought forward, and to ultimately come to an agreement and bring that back to the board for approval. And so I wanted to say thank you to CSEA for giving that to us and allowing us to start the process.
Do you have any questions for Chris? Seeing no questions, do we have any public comment on this item? No? Okay, no public comment. I'll bring it back up to the board for discussion if there is any. Alright. It's pretty straightforward, I think, for me. I mean, I've seen these several years in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, if there's no discussion up here, open to entertaining a motion.
I thought this was just for sunshining.
A vote, isn't it?
No, it's just to make it available to the public.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't say vote.
Don't you need to accept
We
it
need to
though?
accept it, yeah.
We need to accept
So-
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
this says vote on here. I'm like, come on.
So accepting it is not a motion, is it? This
Yeah.
is
Just
general.
move that the district accepts the initial contract.
It's a move, okay.
Yeah.
That's new. Are you asking for?
Yes, I'm
okay.
asking for someone to make a
I
motion.
will move that the board accepts the initial contract proposal for the 2025-26 school year for the California School Employees Association Golden Hines Chapter number 719 to the Ross Valley School District.
Do I have a
I
second?
will second.
Thank you, Chris.
Aye.
Hannah.
Aye.
Daniel.
Aye.
And Rachel, aye. Thank you. Alright, our next item is the recommended approval of a new classified job description, registered behavior technician.
So it's gonna be Laurie.
Yeah, so I'm excited to say we worked with CSEA and negotiated a new job description. This is a really good example of some of the stuff we're doing to alleviate some of our costs. So this job description called Registered Behavior Technician is basically like a classroom aide, but it's somebody who's highly trained in behaviors. And so this job requires 40 hours of behavior training through a Cal State program, certificate program. And so we have been having to hire agency registered behavior technicians, and we've never had a job description, so we've never been able to post it in-house. So we worked together and came up with a great job description. I actually vetted it with our school psychologists, some of our resource specialists, one of our principals, so we really made sure it was solid. And so in this case, we can actually start posting this position to eliminate some of our agency staff. So we're talking about right now, for instance, an RBT at an agency costs about $58 to $63 an hour. And so the person is actually making about what we're offering. It's just the agency takes all of it. So this is really exciting because we'll be posting this, and we have about 5 RBTs that we are contracting with right now through an agency. And then we can go ahead and offer it to our own staff. And then also, look at people who have worked for us for a while, who want to move up a notch and get that extra certification, because we do have aides in classrooms that are interested in doing something like that and getting that extra training to help support. So so this is super exciting, and my first work with CSEA, and it was a great experience. They understood where I was coming from and what we're thinking here, and great for the union as well to add more membership.
Is 5 about consistent year over year, or what is as far as how many positions we've been needing?
Well, the RBT position, we've been mostly having like the lower end of, just the classroom aide, which sometimes they get placed in those positions and they don't have the training to be able to support the kids. And so this year, I actually reached out to get that higher level of training so that we're not having to send kids to non-public schools. And so I, in the past, I don't know if we were contracting with RBTs. We probably had a few. I don't know what the number is from past years. Yeah.
But instead of having a regular aide, you're having an aide with specialized training
Yeah.
to support a student that has externalized behaviors.
Yeah.
So instead of that kid not getting the right support because they have an untrained aide, they have an appropriately trained person, and then we don't send them off to another school. So this is the type of systems thinking that Lori's been doing for us that is both really supportive for kids and keeps them in the least restrictive environment, and in some cases helps save us some money.
That's great. How soon will it be posted?
As soon as possible.
Yeah,
As soon as we approve
Yeah.
it, if we approve it.
Do we have any more questions?
How easy is it to secure an individual who has been working with an agency to get them to apply for this away from their agency without burning any bridges?
Most agencies do charge a finder's fee. That could be anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 to hire somebody straight out. And actually, interestingly, one of the agencies we're working with, I've been working with them for many years over the course of my career, and they have actually offered us they've offered to waive any finder's fees at the end of this school year if we're interested in hiring anybody straight out and they're interested in coming to work for us.
Okay, great,
So
that's
that's
good to know.
exciting, yeah,
Okay.
and that's the power of relationships too.
Yeah,
even with
absolutely,
our outside
absolutely.
agencies and partners. And then also looking at potentially, sort of a dream here, to be able to, if anybody would like to, who's in-house, get that certification to be able to
Yes.
support them in some way with the financial stipend to be able to pay for that certification.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's going out there, but it would be amazing because it would really help keep our people, and
Yeah.
we have some great people out there who are looking to, get more skills. And even when we offered some behavior training through our professional development day back on January 5th, we had like probably 8 different classified staff go because they were so interested in getting that extra training.
That's fantastic. Just also the community piece of that, like keeping people that already live here, want to stay in our district and work. Let's make that happen.
Are there any guardrails on those finder fees? If an employee doesn't stay for more than 30 days or 90 days, do we get that money back from the agency? Kind of like a signing bonus, and if you don't stay for 12 months, 24 months, whatever it is, we get that money back?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look through the contracts on that. I've never experienced that. I've paid finder's fees for like 2 different staff over the course of, the last few years. And then it's been worked out, it's worked out okay, but that's a really good question. We also have, you have concerns like sometimes of, somebody getting hired on and then going out on a leave and.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever's in that contract that this person didn't meet our expectations or left for another job. I want to make sure that we wouldn't still be on the hook for those fees. That's a high number for an hourly role.
I know sometimes the agencies, they'll say, like, we'll provide you somebody else with equal training. I have no idea if that's what we do, but sometimes I've seen that before with agencies.
And I think bottom line is we stay away from finder's fees, period, right? And then we, anybody who we would look into hiring, such as this offer that we have this year to hire people, they would have to go through the entire process. We wouldn't just hire them right out, and then we'd have to do the reference checks and make sure that they're cleared too.
Have any more questions? No? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
I'll just briefly make a comment that from a CSEA perspective, we love to see agency hires translated into skills training and unit members. So we're very excited about this new position, and anything like that, we're for it. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. Seeing now, I'll bring it back to us for discussion up here at the board.
This makes me so happy. That really does, to see any where we can build our community, lower costs, give people like such a win-win. This is fantastic. Exciting.
Those 40 hours initially that they get certified, is there ongoing education, continuing education that they have to fulfill as well each?
Yeah, so part of being a registered behavior technician, you do have to have oversight by a board certified behavior analyst or BCBA, which we actually do contract with now. So as we post this, if we still would need that BCBA oversight. So we would, and currently we're contracting out. Eventually, the big vision is to be able to hire a BCBA at some point so that we have in-house for that person too, and then create a whole team of behavior supports in the district. But yeah, they do that training, and then they do weekly check-ins with a board certified behavior analyst to talk through things and make sure that they're providing the appropriate support.
So getting those finder's fees waived is a great incentive for us to put that money, because that's gonna cost us money as well, so that's good to know. Okay. And it's every year they have to do this. It's every 2 years.
The 40 hours of training is just a one-time
That's one time,
deal.
but
It's a
then
certificate that they receive, and then it's ongoing BCBA support.
Ongoing, okay.
And right now the BCBAs that we work with through agencies are in those services fees, and so that wouldn't really change much. It would just be changing out the staffing and reducing the overage to pay to the agency with an in-house person.
Great.
And that's one of 2 areas that we shared at the end of my learning tour last year. there's a very few places we would increase staffing. One is a BCBA. At cabinet level, we've basically done the math on how much contract time are we doing with BCBAs versus how much it would cost. And right now, the cost of an internal BCBA is less than what we're contracting out. But the grand scheme, if we had more money, would be to hire an internal BCBA. The other one we kind of mentioned in the budget, which is our intervention team, who's super strong and mostly focuses on reading intervention, but would love to see more math intervention as well. So, in this idealized version of Ross Valley School District, we would have a BCBA and more intervention teaching, which would help all of our students meet and exceed grade level standard and reduce the number of kids that are in special ed.
I was really happy to see this pop up on here, so I know that I'm kind of with CSEA on this. I think the more that we can get away from the agency hires, it's fantastic for us. So thank you for all the work on this.
Is it standard for larger districts to have BCBA?
Yeah, nowadays, yes. Years ago, no. I think after COVID, when things started get shaken up a little, and behaviors got a little more and more districts are doing that. In my previous district, I was setting up the same system, and they actually did follow through with it. So they do have a BCBA and RBTs, but it's about building it out and making sure that it's thoughtful and making sure that we have the systems in place to be able to make it really effective. So it really impacts kids.
Yeah, it seems like it's a valuable part of a team with, OT and psych and intervention, like really to take things off of other, the other positions that's not necessarily in their scope, but they're doing.
And some, when we contract out for BCBA, sometimes there is a disconnect because the person is also serving other school sites and all over the place and may not, be there when you need them for a care team meeting or that kind of thing. And that would be the power of being able to hire internally, where we have a consistent person who would know all the ins and outs and know all the people and be able to shift staff around if a student needed a certain personality, to connect with or something, to be able to coordinate all that. That's my dream.
And when we talked about the $750 increase to the parcel tax, that was in that plan. Is BCBA was part of that plan. More intervention teaching was part of that plan, among a few other things. So when we were debating between 600 or 750 or even less than 600, that kind of addition number at 750 included these types of positions.
It's a good thing to aspire towards, to look future.
And as we talk about, trying to exhaust every last option before we believe a child needs to go to a non-public school, this is a piece that gives us a little extra bump to be able to provide a little extra support before we make that kind of move.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori.
Right, with that, have any more discussion over here? No? Does somebody want to make a motion on this item?
I will make a motion to approve the new classified job description of registered behavior technician.
I will second.
Thank you both. Anna,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Daniel,
Aye.
and Rachel, aye. Thank you. Our next item is recommended approval of changes to administration salary schedule.
So this one's me. Just to be clear, there's no change to compensation. The salary schedules are all the same. We have not settled with our classified or certificated management. We intend to probably bring that in the April along with CSEA. Once CSEA is fully settled out, we'll bring that. But this really tonight is, we're just taking away a benefit that administrators had that other classified and certificated folks did not have. That's the cash in lieu. And what that essentially means, that is, if you're an employee here and your health coverage is covered by your spouse, that you could not receive health coverage from us, but you could receive cash in lieu of those benefits. And only our administrators had that benefit. So we talked a little bit about it. We're looking to find any little place we can cut the budget. So we're gonna grandfather in, there's only 3 administrators that take advantage of it for next year. And anyone we hire moving forward will not have an opportunity to get this benefit. So it could save us anywhere between, $0 and $30,000, depending on how many folks matriculate out or come in.
Is this standard practice for admins? In
Some districts give cash in lieu to everybody, to
Yeah.
classified, certificated,
Yeah.
management, like everybody.
Our teachers had cash in lieu, but a very long time ago, it was eliminated and a few probably are still grandfathered in. I don't know if there's anyone left.
I think we have 2 on the certificated side grandfathered in. And one of the reasons you generally do away with this is because of what they call adverse selection. Because what ends up happening is you might have some of your sicker folks accept the benefits because they need the benefit for health reasons. And so it's really frowned upon by health insurance companies.
And it just didn't seem fair to me if that classified and certificated folks weren't receiving it, that our administrators should receive it. So it makes sense, especially given our budget circumstance, to just pare things back when we can.
Do you have any more questions?
How long has this been something you've been working on I'm just curious,
I think last year I noticed it, and it was like a little bit of a head scratcher. And then as we started poring over the budget this fall and this winter, just to find any little place to trim away, this was one that seemed like a no-brainer to us.
How much does it run us each year?
Well, right now next year it'll be about $30,000 total. It's 3 times whatever the health benefit for Kaiser single payer is. So for instance, we're gonna be hiring 1 administrator next year. With Julia leaving, that person will not be able to receive this benefit. So if they had decided to, it would have saved us $10,000.
Any more questions? Do we have any public comment on this one?
Way better when there's less people here. It's great. Love it. Good job. Fiscal responsibility. Promote the hell out of this. You guys, point after point on every one of these, are looking for ways to save money, cut expenses so that the cuts to the students are not going to be as impactful if we don't get the parcel tax done. It is exactly the sort of thing that needs to be promoted publicly. You guys are doing exactly the role that you're elected to do, and you guys are hired to do. I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Alright, any more public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for discussion.
It's a no-brainer.
I know, it's kind of.
I know,
It's like,
great. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Really.
Crickets.
yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Alright, well, I will entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve changes to administrative salary schedule.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Chris.
Aye.
Daniel.
Aye.
Anna.
Aye.
Rachel, aye. Alright, thank you for going through and pulling that one together. Next item is receive for first reading of revised updated board policy and administrative regulations in series 1000.
Great, so this one's gonna be me. There's 3 policies under this one. The first one, policy 1000, there's some minimal changes. It's actually a pretty small policy in general, but it's just reasserting the importance of parent involvement in decisions. I think our special ed advisory committee, our budget advisory committee, our superintendent's council, who helps shape the cell phone policy that we'll bring to the next board meeting. We do this quite well, and I want to continue to partner with our parents because we've got some powerful parents in our community, and it's important to take advantage of the experience and know-how that they bring to the table. Policy 1250 is really around visitor guidelines, so reminding folks to sign in at the front office, behavior on campus. Obviously, you're on an elementary school or middle school campus, and then there's some notification requirements for sex offenders as well. So just important stuff for school safety on that one. And the regulation 1250 just reasserts the sign-in requirements. There's some things about a stay away letter if a principal deems that a parent needs to stay away from campus, and then an appeal process for that stay away letter. All three of these, both 1000 and both the policy 1250 and regulation 1250 are boilerplate CSBA language. We did not add anything, so it's fully vetted through CSBA.
Do we have any questions on this one?
Does violation of these policies provide additional support in a court of law if we were to go to that place?
Absolutely.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, this is,
They're not just like, oh yeah, it's a policy, I'll wipe my face with it.
yeah, and really these policies are for 99.9% of the time. If we ask a parent not to come, it's like, or parents behave on campus, or, you know, sex offenders aren't coming onto our campus. Most parents sign in at the front office, but you could imagine a world in which one parent's like, no, I'm not putting the sticker on my shirt, I'm never gonna do that. The principal tries to hold them accountable, there's a discussion, then there's a discussion with me, and then we write a stay away letter or hold them accountable to this. So it's really an accountability measure
Okay.
for folks that don't follow the directions, but most of our families follow the directions.
And is the stay away letter have an expiration date? Is it indefinitely?
Yeah, for 14 days.
Oh, 14 days.
And if they do come on campus, the principal can call the police and it's a misdemeanor,
Okay.
and then they do have a court.
Okay. Right, and so if you, for longer than 14 days, that's when you would go through police department, court. Yes, got it. Okay.
So this is just a first reading. If you guys read through these between now and the next meeting and have
Yep.
feedback or thoughts, that's kind of why we do the first reading, second reading. It takes more time, but it also gives the community or you all time to kind of marinate on it and give feedback if needed.
Which I appreciate, it didn't used to be that way. Alright, do we have any more questions, Ruth? Do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes. Just want to call attention to the last paragraph on policy 1000, which talks about the board studying legislative processes, issues, establishing relationships, and adopting positions on key issues, set priorities for advocacy, and collaborate with other organizations and coalitions in legislative and legal advocacy efforts. I think, I've said this a lot, but the board can do a lot more and be, I think, a lot more expansive in its understanding of advocacy that would help the district in terms of, the state's taxing policy. There are a lot of different things that affect how our schools are funded, not just, the funding, LCFF related bills, but, what exemptions people get, how much the governor sort of strong arms the budget process, and note that every year there's an extraordinary number of bills that pass the California legislature that have a veto-proof majority, end up vetoed, and don't have a veto override because of just the way things have always been handled here, and bills that would affect our district have been the victim of that sort of below the surface process. And I would hope that as we're seeing how severe the effect of this the state government how severe the impact the state government can have on our district, that our district would lend its voice to adopting resolutions at meetings that people can see and share, or approving letters to go formally from the board to legislatures on many more issues. Thanks.
Do we have any more public comment? Seeing none, this is just for discussion and information, so do we, bring it back to your, to any comments here? No?
Do you want us to respond to you via email, like?
Yeah, if you have feedback, you can do that.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
you can give it to me now or send me, if you kind of sit down with a cup of coffee over the weekend and pour over it and you have feedback or thoughts, just shoot me an email.
Okay, thank you.
And a lot of these changes are based on the CSBA recommendations,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep, so CSBA just kind of
Yes.
gives them to us. Anything in red is the CSBA change. I will be bringing a cell phone policy to the next board meeting that is 90% CSBA, but then some feedback from our community woven into it with an accompanying guidance document that's not CSBA. But so, and we'll do the same thing with an AI policy that's both CSBA language, but then also tailored to the needs of us. But these ones are pretty straightforward, so we usually just start there, unless there's feedback from the board.
Any other comments up here, discussion from the board? No? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next item, which is receive for first reading of revised updated board policy and administrative regulations in series 4000.
Great, so I have the first one on this one, and then I'll hand it to Julia. The first one is policy 4000, and this one, kind of similar to one of the other ones that we just talked about, asserts the importance of staff voice and communication with the board. So obviously they can send you emails, they can come here, make public comments, and you all are very active and out on school campuses, so they can come talk to you directly. It also asserts the importance of our union relationships, and I would say, at least from the district side of things, that we have an exceptional relationship with both CSEA and RVTA. We work very collaboratively and proactively, so this policy is just reasserting the importance of both staff voice and the relationship we have with the union.
All right, and I have the BP and the AR for non-discrimination in employment, which pretty much tells you what these policies are about. The BP affirms the district's commitment to equal employment opportunity. It prohibits discrimination, harassment, and retaliation based on protected characteristics. It also outlines how complaints are reported, investigated, and addressed to ensure the district remains compliant with employment laws. And it incorporates new laws on discrimination protections and job posting requirements, recent federal Title IX guidance and court decisions, and consolidates discrimination-related language into one policy. And so it's really just updating the policy for recent, laws that have gone forward. And then the AR kind of takes it one step further, again, outlining in more detail measures around posting notices, training employees, publicizing policies, monitoring hiring and employment practices. It also establishes procedures, again, for reporting, investigating, and resolving discrimination or harassment complaints, including timelines, reporting responsibilities, and appeal options.
Julia, are there any anything you would like to highlight in these that significant, since you know more
I think
about this?
The only thing that really stood out from me is that we did a lot of work around Title IX and making some shifts, and then those shifts have been rolled back. And so we are returning to the 2020 Title IX processes.
All standard
Just
CSBA
federal and
language.
there's nothing, yeah, so like these are ones where we follow the lead of CSBA.
Yeah, it's nice to, without knowing the history, I suppose, right? It's kind of nice to hear what your thoughts are on this, I guess, yeah, because of the changes.
Do you have any more questions? No? Do we have any public comment on this one? No? All right, I'll bring it back to the board. It looks like we have any discussion on this one. There's no.
Fighting to read.
No.
Based on what I have to read. I was enjoying these.
They're probably shorter
Because
too.
they made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were clear.
So any other discussion on this one? There's no vote. Since it's a first reading. Okay.
Did you do a gap analysis to determine what, or did you just follow CSBA's guidance?
Follow CSBA.
Okay.
I would say that there's most of the time, because CSBA's vetted this with a team of lawyers and have really gone through it.
Yeah.
It just makes most sense to follow their
Fold
lead.
it in, yeah, exactly.
The AI and the cell phone is just so much more tailored. Or we're actually going to be talking about homework later this year.
Yeah.
So CSBA is kind of a blunt instrument where we can get a little bit more scalpel-like with cell phone AI and homework. So you'll see us bring more tailored versions later in the year for those three.
Okay.
Thank you, because I know it's a lot of work to go through those documents anyways with all the
Yes.
changes.
Yeah.
Moving on, item 9, we have received for first reading of revised updated board policy and administrative regulations in series 5000.
This one's Lori.
Yeah, so board policy 5020, it's not a lot of changes, just making sure that parents are notified of their rights under FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Also in that one, sort of a random thing that that our schools can establish English learner centers for if we have a large percentage of English learners on our campuses. So that's interesting that that's on there. And then the next one, administrative policy 5020, is about caregiver rights to opt out of certain instruction. That could be puberty education, that could be any type of, education that we determine, and it's really not, they don't outline what that is, but there are certain, there's a recent lawsuit that had to do with conflict in like religious beliefs based upon some books that were presented to the class. And so just making sure that parents have the right to opt out and also view materials ahead of time.
That's
And then
the Mahmood versus Taylor case is the one she's referring to.
Thank you. And then interestingly, at the end of that policy, it does say that parents may support the learning environment by limiting cell phone use and social media. So parents have the right to do that now.
Well, thank God. I was wondering when policy was going to rule in that
It's an
favor.
exciting one.
You can take that to your kids.
Exciting. Policy says, put the phone down.
Yeah. All right, and then the next one, board policy 5138, is just around schools being able to develop peer mediation programs and conflict management programs. Mostly it would probably be in our upper elementary or our middle schools, but having opportunities for kids to help support that process and be trained in that as well. And then I think the other one's lit out. That's that section, then I have one more in the next piece also.
I have a general question in terms of awareness of these policies and what are we doing to ensure that not just teachers and parents, but also parent clubs, for example, to understand what the policies are as well, and some of the things that might, how do we promote awareness of these policies so that people know that they're there?
They're all posted on our website under the
Right.
board, which
Right.
90%, 100% of parents aren't gonna look at.
99.9.
But they're there. So for instance, I'm thinking about this cell phone policy. I was prepping that a little bit this week. I'm gonna have a parent square that goes out, that links the policy, that links the guidance, that kind of
Great.
talks through it.
Right.
So some of them are really applicable to us sending a parent square notification. AI will be another one, homework will be another one. Where some of these more nitty gritty ones around like, parents signing in at the front office, like it's not really.
You only raise it when it's an issue, I get that, but I do think though, maybe once a year, or welcome to the 2026-27 school year, and then have a link, here's the policy catalog if you're ever interested, because no one's gonna go to the website, right? And you've done it once, you've said, here it is, if you wanna go take a look at it. Because there are some people out there, cough, cough, some in the audience, who might very well wanna see all these policies and read them from front to back, right?
Yeah, and there are some policies that we send out in the welcome back packet some of the more relevant ones, like the student acceptable use of technology policy. So some of those ones that are a little bit more visible.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a yes and, but I hear the feedback, and that's something we can
yeah, just,
absolutely do.
you know, just check
Yeah.
the box,
Yeah.
honestly. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone's gonna, you know.
And actually, as Rachel knows, our wellness committee, we actually analyzed the whole policy during a wellness committee meeting. So we could look at it and make any adjustments
That's
that we
great.
felt, but yeah, but to go through all these would be a lot.
That's great.
Which
yeah.
policy was that?
The wellness.
Oh.
There's a wellness policy. It's like 8 pages.
I know there's a binder, right? I still need to go find the binder and read it front to back, like 5,000 policies.
For the second time.
Exactly. Yes.
Alright. Do we have any more questions up here? Do we have any public comment on this item? No? Alright, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any discussion on this one? It's first read, so we can have another go at it later on if you need to. Alright, so I will move us along then. Our next item is receive for first reading of revised updated board policy and administrative regulations in series 6,000. I just have that memorized by now.
Okay, so this one is mainly for Title I schools, and Title I schools are schools that have a high percentage of families that fall under low socioeconomic status, and at this time we don't have any Title I schools in our district. However, we did adopt it just because we do have it, there were some minor changes in it, and if we did ever have any schools fall into Title I, then it would be ready to go. It basically requires that we have high levels of parent involvement of our families at those schools, that we have an English Learner Advisory Committee, and that we train families in state standards and state testing and all, and various aspects of their children's education.
Do we have any questions on this one? No, no questions on the board? Feeling a little repetitive here. Do we have any public comment on this item? No, bringing it back up here for us. Any other discussion? No? All right. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Our next item is receive for first reading of revised updated board bylaw in series 9,000.
Great, so this one is pretty straightforward. It actually articulates a little bit of the protocol for closed session, and the requirements that we have as a governance team in closed session. It talks a little bit about the report out and the requirements for reporting out. There are some documents that can be requested by the public. It articulates which ones those are. Talks about my attendance and outsider attendance if we needed like legal counsel or someone else to attend a closed session. And then talks about student records changes. That's usually going to be a high school move if a parent's requesting a change to grades or to final grades. So not super applicable for us. But that's that one.
Do we have any questions on this one? Any question? No? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this one? All right, seeing that, I'll bring it back to the board. Any discussion? All right, we all have another go at this next time, so take a look if you have any questions, send them to Tyler.
And I just want to thank Teresa for pushing all four of us to bring these policies. CSBA gives a lot of these updates. Most school districts are like wildly behind, and when we have board meetings that are a little lighter, we're going to start bringing as many of these to you as possible. Try not to overwhelm you in those big busy ones.
Thank you all. It's a lot of work to go through them all. Okay, next item is E, consent actions. We have 3 items here under this. We can approve it by one motion unless somebody wants to pull anything out for discussion, comments, questions. Didn't know if anybody had anything in there. If not, do we do a public comment?
You can.
So do you have any questions, anything you want to pull out? No? Do we have any public comment on our consent actions? All right, seeing that, I'll bring it back. Do we have any discussion? All right, so I'll entertain a motion on this one.
So recommend we approve is it just approving the personnel actions,
Be approving
Consent
the
action.
the consent actions, okay.
So you're making that motion.
I'll make a motion that we're gonna approve the consent action items.
Great. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Daniel.
Aye.
Anna.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
And Rachel. Aye. Thank you. So let's move to consent on that. Next item is F, board business. We have committee updates, reports from, and announcements by trustees. You wanna kick it off?
Good meeting last week, planning some pretty cool stuff at Whitehill for the equity committee. Haven't had anything with the Golden Bell update. They canceled the last meeting, but that's still going ahead in May. Those are my two primary board roles right now.
Just to piggyback, we had our parent guardian equity task force
Parent guardian,
meeting.
that's it.
It has turned into a very efficient, actively focused, ending on time meeting where I think people leave feeling accomplishments that are in the works. And we have one more meeting for this year, May 7th. And I think we're coming out of this year have accomplished some very good things about communication on campus, sense of belongings. So there's some videos we're trying to work out to bring into next year. We shall see. But that's all I have.
Anna? Let's see. Parcel tax. That is happening. We've had some meetings, just kind of getting that going. Yes, board meeting, as we all know, it is the spring campaign. If you haven't seen the amazing prizes that you could win, if you donate by March 20th, make sure you do that, board. But yeah, they're at 83% of the $1 million goal, so that's fantastic. And I went to a fundraising call night, that was fun. Let's see, I went to the first JIPA meeting, that was last week. There's gonna be one more next month. The takeaway is that they are considering raising the cost of the bus passes. The cost has not been raised in years, and there is some concern that when it comes time to needing to, it will be a large increase. And so they are wanting to get ahead of that. And that has not been decided what percentage, but that it is looking like it's going to be raised by some small percentage, just so it's consistent year after year, because right now it's not that way. And that way, down the line when they need to for budgeting reasons, that they won't be in the position that we are, really, frankly. So, and then, yeah, I was definitely the outsider in that meeting. They all knew each other very well. They're like, "Where's Chris?" They missed you. And then tomorrow night I'm going to the MCBC Spring Gala so Chris, you're officially the Safe Routes to School committee rep. Chris is unavailable.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, one of those Safe Routes coordinators that also does the Wade walk and roll. He invited me, really wants us to be there, so I was excited about it, and it's boho chic, whatever that is. That's the dress code tomorrow, so.
Yeah, I dressed me for this party.
Yes, right. But yeah, I'll let you know how that goes. I mean, it sounds like really want us, our representation. And besides being a parent, I have not been very involved.
Where is it?
It is in Mill Valley. I don't know exactly where. I gotta look that up.
Okay.
I'll report back.
Cool. Thank you for going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great group of people.
I've never met any of them in person. We've always done Zoom.
Yeah.
So it's there.
There's a lot of parents in our community who are very involved.
Yeah, it's odd to, I see them on the street, I think, sometimes, and it's just kind of like,
Oh yeah.
I just never met anyone.
Oh yeah. I mean, we all benefit from the safe routes for
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
Like
it's
that
great.
is
They're
fantastic.
fantastic, and they're really dedicated people, which is great to
Absolutely.
work with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big Wake Thomas news. On Ross Ave, we have speed bumps. If you haven't driven down Ross on the way to Wade, it's fantastic. It has helped a lot with people driving fast on Ross. So that's good. Okay.
You all set?
Yeah, Rachel.
I attended a CTA webinar that RVTA membership had sent to me. I don't know if they sent it to everybody, but it was something that they'd sent me a while back. So I watched that. I think it was at the end of February. It might have been first week of March. I'm kind of losing track of the days. Which was interesting because I'm like, obviously I'm not a teacher, but to see what CTA was telling to like the different teachers unions was helpful. A lot of it was stuff that like I think most of us wouldn't already know as board members, but like talking about financial pieces and just like how funding works and things like that. I attended a webinar on special education law, which after I watched about half an hour, I was like, this is really not geared toward me. So I didn't watch all of it, to be honest on that one. It was definitely more towards probably someone like Lori, I'm guessing. I went to the MCSBA, which is the Marine School Boards Association mid-year meeting, which they do like a learning kind of meeting thing. I know Chris and Shelley were there as well as Tyler. But it was, and Anna, you were all there. So we were all there, and they kind of went over. It was interesting because like the presentation was on. Sorry, Daniel, you weren't there. It was on school board bonds and parcel taxes.
Yeah.
It was by somebody who had a very thorough presentation, and I was kind of another one of those where I think we were probably far more educated than the rest of the cohorts.
Yeah.
I've met with a couple trustees from other school districts, 2 different school districts, some from TAM. I've met with ones from, actually most of them from TAM, 3 different ones from TAM at separate times, which has been helpful. It's kind of networking, trying to figure out like how we can all help each other out with various things that are going on financially with all of our school districts and how we can support each other, kind of the networking and like how we can network at the county level and then at the state level, which has been useful. I've met with the League of Women Voters, the Marin Democrats, the Archie Williams Falcon Foundation, so kind of just spreading the information about our budget situation to as many groups as possible. I've taken several parent calls about parcel taxes, about finances, about concerns that they had. And I think that was it. Yeah, I think that's all of it. And there's been parcel tax meetings, obviously, because I know Anna and I are kind of the ones on the subcommittee for that. So we've been helping with that as well. But yeah, that was it for me. And with that, I'll move us on to approval of regular meeting minutes for February 11th, 2026. Do we have any questions, changes, comments?
That was a long one.
That was tough.
Okay.
You can't if you want.
Do you have any public comment on this one? No? Okay, bring it back here. Someone wants to make a motion on it.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for February 11th, 2026.
Great, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Chris.
Aye.
Daniel.
Aye.
Anna.
Aye.
Rachel, aye. Okay, so those are approved. And our next item is 3 Board of Trustees draft calendar of meetings for 2026-27.
I dissent. Do we ever have that one in July?
Well, if
No.
the parcel tax doesn't pass in June, we would have to have this
Yes.
July one in order
Yes.
to get prepared for a November ballot.
Yes.
I think that the deadline is either really early August or late July, so that one,
It needs to be on the calendar.
I'm really hoping we can not have that one.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always cancel it. We've done that in the past when we haven't had enough for a meeting. We'll just bump it to the
It
next
totally
meeting.
makes sense though.
But yeah, we need it on the calendar. Right. Any other?
Any questions?
I won't be here just on the 23rd of September, so you would have to run the meeting just so you have a fair warning on that one.
23rd of September.
Mm-hmm. Unless it got moved. Yeah, 23rd is September. So
We
that
could
one.
also put in a sequence of rotating the
Oh, that too. So, any other questions? No? Alright, any public comment on this one?
This is the big, exciting showstopper I was waiting for. No, just wanted to use this as an opportunity to again advocate for opening up these meetings for remote participation. In the, I do read everything, so in the description of the meetings, it says the board tries to have its open meeting sessions start at 6:30. Today's was 6. It's difficult. I know you guys have your schedules, but I would have been shocked if there was a half a dozen people in here at 6. And it's, the board valuing community input is a two-way street. Like, the community does have a responsibility to pay attention to something that matters as much as our local school districts do, but the district has an obligation to make these meetings as accessible as possible. That, even a more concrete initial suggestion would be calendaring a discussion item on having meetings available for hybrid attendance, so that you could potentially get input from the public on how big an issue this is for them. Thanks.
Any other public comment? No? Okay. That I will bring it back to the board for any discussion. No? Any discussion? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Yeah, I recommend we approve the draft 2026-2027 Board of Trustees calendar of meetings.
Great, do I have a second?
Second.
Ooh.
Oh, take it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give that one to Anna. Daniel,
Aye.
Anna, Chris,
Aye.
and Rachel, I. Thank you, so we have that scheduled. I have to put those all on my calendar now. Our next item is G, Superintendent and Cabinet Report. So turn it over to you all.
Great. I'll start. Today I had our E2, which is our efficiency and effectiveness meeting across the county to see how districts can be more efficient. We also had JLAC, kind of standard updates from JLAC, nothing really significant to report. I've been spending most of my time working on a few different things, one including board policies that you saw today. There'll be some more that come in subsequent meetings. Just of note, I know I've already referenced them, but the cell phone and AI policies will be two big ones that'll come. And when I bring the AI one, there's also going to be like staff acceptable use of technology and student acceptable use of technology and a few other related items. So just trying to make sure that's all coherent and streamlined. Also spending a lot of time on enrollment and staffing. This time of year is like really heavy with figuring out how many combination classes we're gonna have, how many teachers we'll need, do we need to overflow kids from one school to the other, and just kind of putting that up all on a whiteboard. Really want to thank Julia and Teresa for their collaboration on that. Also spending a lot of time working on replacing our retiring assistant superintendent. Julia's going to be sorely missed. This is a mission critical position in our district that does all of the educational services. which is everything that's teaching and learning in our district, and quite a bit of the HR role as well. Those shoes are not going to be filled. However, we did have 35 great applicants that applied. We interviewed 11 of them on Monday in kind of a short 20-minute get to know you interview, and we have 5 coming back on Friday for a second round interview, and hopefully 2 or 3 will get pushed to the cabinet interview next Tuesday. So fingers crossed that we get a phenomenal candidate. So far, I've been impressed with the people that have applied. Again, that's going to be a cost neutral decision. So there's no cost increases. We're not adding administrative positions. That is just replacing our wonderful outgoing retiring assistant superintendent. There's a single tear running down my cheek right now. There's a few other HR related things I've been doing as well. And I'm excited to say that our parcel tax has a letter assignment. It is officially Measure H. So I know for hope, for happy, healthy students, all kinds of H's that we can throw at that. And I know Anya Twig has been doing just a monumental lift to get the committee side of things running. And if you were super engaged in the parcel tax leading up to February 11th, take a nice deep breath and wait for Anya Twig's, smoke signal, and we can all get after it there. But right now is a good time to kind of rest and regroup, and then the committee will take the charge now that we have a letter, and it will be their responsibility to shepherd it through June 2nd.
Awesome. I also was at the Parent Guardian Equity Task Force meeting. It was a lovely meeting, and we've got 2 committees going. One is more focused on communications and is looking at creating videos and documents that help to onboard parents, staff, anyone who's on campus and working with our kids. And then the other group has been kind of an events committee and are super excited to be planning for our first annual BIPOC family event, which will be on April 23rd. So
At Whitehill.
At Whitehill, and Sean is working with a couple of the parents right now to create flyers and things. So information will be sent out soon. And had a great meeting with our teacher leadership team yesterday. Beyond working on the calendar, started the conversation about homework with everyone. They have homework now to really dig in and get some data on what does homework look like from kindergarten through 5th grade at each of our elementaries, and then also the middle school. And our next light meeting in April is with our administrative team as well. So we'll be really digging in. It's just kind of time to re-examine our practices and see, where are we and are we in alignment. And today was the Archie Williams Whitehill Middle School articulation meeting. So some teachers and an administrator from Archie came over to Whitehill. All of the teachers were members of their, I think it's called their guiding coalition, but they're like teacher leaders. And prior to that, Whitehill teachers had gone over to Archie to observe classes, and Archie teachers had come over to Whitehill, and all of that was with a focus on DOK, depth of knowledge, of really looking at the different levels of instruction and kind of what instruction asks students to do in their brain. And so it was kind of neat that Archie and Whitehill are already working on a similar kind of area of teaching and learning. And so there was a meeting for the core subjects, math, science, English, and just really great, robust conversations. I was able to hop into each one of them. It was just really nice to see. A lot of Whitehill teachers saying, are you getting what you're hoping to get from us? What are kids coming with? Where are they strong? And, what's missing? And the conversation that generated was really just this, here's how we do this. Oh, how do you do that? Oh, that's similar. Oh, we could push into that. So just really happy to get that conversation going. And then just a note, this time last year, my entire whiteboard was full of positions that we needed to hire for. And it's just a small, like maybe a quarter of my whiteboard right now, and of those, so I think maybe we have 5 or 6 certificated positions that are open. Well, we did at the start of the hiring season. We have filled 2, and I think 2 are in the works. So feeling really great about that. And some really wonderful people that we're bringing on board.
And then I'm gonna have to say that one again because a lot of them or a couple of them are special education people, and it's been so hard to find people. And so between Lori Ross, Julia, I mean, everybody's working really hard to try and get people. I always, when I'm in these interviews, I say, you have a very unique opportunity in this job. Join us. So it's really exciting. Also, I've had the opportunity to facilitate the first round of assistant superintendent interviews, and they've entrusted me with that responsibility, and we had a great interview team that really provided some great input and feedback and insights into after we, as we were deliberating. And then I'll facilitate the Friday afternoon, or the Friday interviews as well. Last Wednesday, March 4th, Nurse Megan O'Hare and I provided an overview of puberty education to our 5th grade families. We had 34 parents in attendance. We did it via Zoom. Just gave them an overview of what their kids would be hearing about. Megan's gonna go around to each of the 5th grade classrooms and provide that curriculum over 4 days in each classroom, and then and get that valuable information during this awkward time. And then as we mentioned before, I'm just really looking at our, I've been looking really closely at our kids that are in Marin County Office of Education classrooms and our NPS schools to see who can come back for next year. We have identified a few, and we're working with families on that right now. We also have some of our kids in those programs that will be matriculating to TAM. So that'll be happening. And then along with that, we're doing transition meetings right now, starting that for students with IEPs, the transition from 5th to 6th, and the transition from 8th to 9th. And so I'm working closely with Carolyn Boyce at TAM to make sure that there is a very nice soft handoff so our families feel good about it. And then, of course, 5th to 6th from elementary to White Hill. So that's all happening right now. White Hill is doing a fantastic job of really looking at their special day class program and doing a lot of work around inclusion and systems that are being put into place so that our kids in that most restrictive environment are going to have less restrictive because they'll be out in classrooms and getting general ed experience, and so it's super exciting to be part of that. And then we are also having conversations about retentions and kindergarten continuance, which is like a kindergarten retention. And this process has gone out through the entire school year, and the principals have done a great job of going through the process that we've developed and making sure that there's no last minute surprises. And we have a couple that we're looking at, and so because that's a really important decision, because there's a lot of research that doesn't support retention, and so it has to be really thought through to make sure that it's appropriate for the student. So
I am a board member with the Marin People Transportation Authority, which is a JPA that the district is part of, and that is the group that charges the special ed transportation back. And we had our board meeting yesterday, as a matter of fact, and one of the discussion points was the methodology for the chargebacks, and we're looking at that. It was a push from me actually about a year ago on taking a look at that, and so we're taking a look, and it will probably have a positive impact upon our district and perhaps others in the county as we make recommendations of changes to that. And so that was yesterday. And then also wanted to point out that we have our bid for the Brookside pedestrian bridge out. We had a week ago today, we had our mandatory job walk, and we had 17 individuals there. And Johnny Van Houten was also present. So that's actually a good sign. because you can't bid on the project if you're not there. And so we now have kind of our list of people who would be likely to bid. And we're still working through our process with the actual bridge. And as soon as we have that ordered, the district is ordering it directly and paying for the bridge, and then the contractor will be installing it. As soon as we know the timelines for the bridge, we'll let the board know as well.
When are the bids due?
They're due in May.
For context, when we did an asphalt bid at Wade Thomas and Manor last year, when there was the mandatory job walk, nobody showed up. So we had to rebid it, and even on the rebid, there was only a couple people that showed up for the job walk. So to have 17 people show up for the bridge job walk was fantastic, and means we'll probably get a competitive price for the bridge.
Why do you think that is?
Sometimes it's based upon the timing, sometimes it's based upon the amount of work they have, and it's also the job trade. So asphalt there aren't as many companies that can do it just because of the equipment, so it just becomes more challenging.
And a little asphalt play yard is like, might not be worth a company's time when you can like repave, 15 miles of Highway 101 and get a lot more money. So, that could be part of it as well.
Moving on, I've got H, meeting review, future board topics and board direction. Do we have anything anybody would like to add here? Not right now. So I will move it along to meeting debrief. Any comments? We are running ahead of the schedule, is my comment.
Okay, I do have a question. Regarding accessibility to our meetings. How long have we offered where you could listen in? Like how
Probably close to 20, was it 2020 or was it before that?
2020 for sure.
It was before that.
It was.
Actually, don't know.
Because I was listening before I was a board member. In
Okay.
like in 2019.
There are
And
local
what is our
school,
plan? Is there we have a plan to open it up?
there are local school districts that do the live stream like we typically do.
Oakland Unified does it.
And then there's also some school districts that in our county that will do the live stream just like we do, but then they don't post the video. So you get the notes or the minutes from the meeting, but you can't listen back to the video. So we are more accessible than some districts with our current setup. However, we don't have the, live stream where people can make public comment from home. There's all kinds of different philosophies around that. It's not required at the moment. There are a handful of school districts that do it. I know Fairfax and San Anselmo, both town councils do it. Right now, we actually don't have the physical, the hard technology to even do it. So I've written a note to myself to follow up with Sean Maher to see how much that would cost, and whether it could be something we could do. We don't have any video information here, so given our budget constraints, it feels like it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'll come back with some hard data for the board on that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like also a major learning curve. I mean, we've all been in meetings, interactive meetings, and it's a challenge. And so, yeah, having that time and money and space to do that. I also am curious on what our
Is this meeting
audience ship is.
Is this meeting review or is this
Okay.
board direction? Because we passed board direction.
Okay.
Sorry.
Point taken.
Okay, you
Got
can talk to Tyler about that stuff offline, but yeah, we already skipped over that item. Sorry.
You're too fast. I was too slow.
I know. Okay, so meeting debrief. Any comments on the meeting that we've just had? Nothing? Personally. I do.
Good speed.
Good speed. You're like, it's 8:11, I'm happy. Adjourn the meeting. All right, so I don't have anything else on meeting debrief. I
Can I have one question about we brought you a ton of policies, and in lighter meetings, we'll continue to do that. Does that seem like the appropriate number? We don't wanna come with like 30 of them and overwhelm you, like any feedback on the number of policies we brought you or the format?
Is it necessary to bring them to the meeting, or is there a way to have us review them without having to have to?
Some districts send them, some districts do a single read and just do it on consent agenda.
Right.
So, I was giving you a little summary. We've chosen this approach because it gives you time to kind of think about it. And then you've got between now, this meeting and the next meeting to like offer suggestions, or if someone from the community kind of catches wind and wants to offer some feedback, we're open to that. A lot of districts just take the CSBA language, put it in consent and move on consent without any discussion. So those are kind of the two options I've seen.
We used to do it that way. I kind of like it better this way because people do have a time to like read it and come back and like make comment, and then we can discuss it if there are some things that pop up. But it does mean, it's nice because then you don't, if nothing changes from here till next month, then you don't necessarily have to reread it if you already read it through once and you're fine with it. So for me, it was helpful just to see, and then now there's like track changes, so you can see what the changes actually were. Before I was like, what was the difference here?
It's a little slower and more transparent this way.
Yeah, I certainly like that we're not the only ones that have the opportunity to read it, that it's out to the community by being on the agenda that way.
I prefer having them on quiet meetings.
Yeah.
And then the busy ones
Yes.
are like, we can just put them on consent when we've already read them once. I prefer it that way.
We can also, tonight we gave you like a brief 1-minute summary of each of them. You could also just not do that and just assume that you're gonna read them, and if you need to ask questions, you could, but I feel like the 1-minute summary is a good way to just kind of like, when you read through all these tracked changes, what's the gist of what CSBA was trying to do? But we can try to tighten that up or not do that if you guys want.
I thought it was great. I appreciate-
Strong feelings was asking us in terms
Yeah.
of, if you're torn with bringing 20 policies to us for one meeting, what's a good way to get around that and keep us engaged?
We'll ask Teresa not to give us so many policies.
Well, yeah, and also like time spent on like what's most valuable for your time to do as well.
Yeah, I appreciate the update as we're doing it, because there are so many policies.
Yep.
So as it's fresh on your mind, to bring it to us and give us the summary, I think that's helpful.
Great.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna adjourn us at 8:14.